indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Beagle,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Present.
Councilmember Behrman,
Present.
Councilmember Gotchel,
Here.
Councilmember Grenlin Fox is excused, Councilmember Sharp is excused, Councilmember Smiley.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Changes or additions to the agenda as presented tonight, City Manager?
Mayor, I have no changes nor additions.
Assistant City Manager?
I have none, sir.
Any from the dais? Very good. Moves us to approval of minutes. We got one set of minutes to approve tonight, and that's from the regular City Council meeting of August 22nd, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, any comments, additions, deletions, anything? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the regular City Council meeting minutes of August 22nd, 2023. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Correspondence, we have two pieces of correspondence tonight. One is a thank you to the Oakland County Road Commission, and another is a thank you to the Oakland County Water Resource Commissioner for the prompt service for the sinkhole that we had. Thank you. Which brings us to first call to the public. The rules to the call to the public are as follows. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence. And again, immediately after new business, the first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council, and all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close the first call to the public. Move on to City Manager's report. First report tonight is the Fire Monthly Report from July 2023. Any questions? All right, see now, next up is the Police Monthly Report from July 2023. Any questions? Guys, getting off easy. Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished or new business. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and support to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no unfinished business tonight, so we'll move on to the first item of new business, which is a recommendation to utilize the My Deal bid price and authorize the purchase of two 2023 Dodge Durango Pursuit vehicles from the LaFontaine Automotive Group of Lansing, Michigan for $85,090 from Vehicles Police Account Number 411-301-973.370 and waive the bid process and authorize the purchase of necessary equipment and installation for the vehicles from Cruisers of Brighton, Michigan for $35,990 from Vehicles Police Account Number 411-301-973.370 and approve the associated budget amendment. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Chief Langmeyer.
Good evening. What you have before you today is a request to purchase the two vehicles that we have budgeted for this year. This is a little bit different than in the past. We're not asking to order. We're asking to actually purchase two vehicles that LaFontaine has in stock. This year, it took us about 10 to 11 months to get delivery of the vehicles that we ordered last year. We just took delivery of those. We ordered in October of last year. That's kind of the timeline that's happening now, about 11 months for delivery of the vehicle that you ordered. We just took delivery of two vehicles. Last year, LaFontaine took it upon themselves to order some extra cars, knowing that police departments would need them, and we would like to get those two cars. These are in the budget for this year. What we would do with these vehicles is just store them. We would not put them into service until sometime next year, probably next spring or early summer. But at least then we have the cars. We're not waiting 11 months to get our hands on them. The vehicles that we want to purchase are 23s. They are at the 23 prices, which is good because they're informing us that we can anticipate about a 10% increase for a 24 vehicle for what we want. So we're requesting that we go ahead and get these vehicles now. We'll hang on to them and won't put them into service until next year. The second part of this is that we need to then build these vehicles for police services. This is all the lights and sirens and prisoner seats and partitions, and all of this stuff that has to go inside the vehicle. And the second part of this is that we're asking to be able to get these cars outfitted again during this budget year with all the necessary equipment. That would be through Cruisers. They've been building our cars since 2004. We've had, as far as I know, 0 issues. They do a very good job in building our cars. In my time, we haven't sent a car back to them to be worked on yet. I'm sure they have since 2004. We've had to send some back, but they've built our cars since then. They do a phenomenal job out of Brighton, Michigan, very close for us. We'd like to continue that relationship with them, but I realize it is an extensive amount of money, $35,000. That's why we're asking to waive the bid process. One thing that I did find out today is they do have the competitive bid for Livingston County. I checked with Cruisers to see who they build for. They build for all of Livingston County because of that bid price, and we are getting the prices from that bid. So that's what we're asking for. The opportunity to buy these 2 cars and get them while they have them in stock, and then to budget the money for us to build them, but not until it's springtime.
Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, the warranty, are they giving us any extra warranty as a result of taking them early and sitting them on the lot?
Actually, yes, the LaFontaine will not start their warranty until we put them into service. That includes the 2 cars that we have sitting back here waiting to be built now.
All right, very good. And which 2 are anticipated to come out of service? And
It'll be the 2 2020 Ford Explorers that we have. And those are the reason we want to get these cars and have them in stock, because those are the ones that we're having the most issues with. We're spending a decent amount of money keeping these cars running. And they're the ones that we want to get out of service as soon as we can, because we keep, water pumps have been our biggest issue. And having to replace those water pumps, it entails pulling the engine to get to them, to replace them. If you can get your hands on a water pump, that's the other hard part for us right now. So those are the 2 that we're looking at getting rid of.
and those will go out for bid process, or will they get used somewhere else?
I would leave that up to Mr. Sigma to decide what's going to happen with those. He knows the repair history on those vehicles better than I do. So I think we would be best off letting him make the decision as to what we do with those.
Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. Hello, Chief Langmeyer. As I read this, I kind of clean this up for me if I got it wrong. So the 2 that we just got delivery from were for last year,
Yes.
but they'll be part of this year's budget. And then the 2 that you want to, get for basically next year, we wanted 2 next year anyway. So this grabs them now, gets the fleet where you want it, and so far so good.
Well, there's a slight correction there. The 2 that we just took delivery are out of last fiscal year's budget.
Okay,
We rolled the money over to this year to be able to pay for the vehicles themselves.
right, yeah.
The part that didn't get rolled over was the amount of money to build them. So we only rolled over the amount for the vehicles. So the money for the vehicles is there, the money for the builds is there out of this year's budget, so we're set with those. This would be the vehicles that we budgeted for this year. Out of this year's budget, these 2 would be it. We just have them now instead of waiting until next October to get them. Does that make sense? Having to roll the money into next year's budget.
I think so. So will they fit all 4 of them at the same time?
No, we're gonna build the 2 that
Build
should
the
go
2.
into service now, and then these would be stored probably until,
Unbuilt.
we wouldn't even start building them until probably next spring, April, May, in that neighborhood.
Okay, but you needed those for next year, so there's no reason to bring them into the fleet because they're kind of a little early.
Exactly.
But you're getting a good deal, there's no supply chain worries, that kind of thing, we're just grabbing them while we can.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
That's the whole idea, is to get them while we can, because who knows how long it'll be down the road. Right now, we're waiting 10 to 11 months.
Okay. And will those two replace Explorers as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Will that leave it, how many Explorers will that leave after these 4?
one.
There'll still be 1 left?
Mhm.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Behrman.
Thank you. Councilmember Smiley, kind of started where I wanted to go. So this will be our 5th and 6th Dodge? Or am I right?
Correct.
So the first 2 that we ordered that are in service and we see on the street, what year are those?
Those are 22s.
And then the 2 that will be going on the street soon are 23s?
Correct,
And then the 2 that you want to buy and have sit for a while will also be 23s?
correct.
And then where do you see the next time that you'd want to order? Is it going to be next year, or is it going to be a year, year and a half, 2 years down the road now, having all 3 or all 6 new?
It would probably be next year we would order about this time, but not get it until the summer after. Does that make sense?
So they'd be
With the
2025.
10-month wait period, they take orders generally around October for these new cars. I would want a budget next year for one, but I'm not anticipating delivery on that until September of '25.
So next year would be to replace just the one Ford that you would have left?
Yes, sir.
I guess my only concern is, like you said, that the 2020 Fords, we've had an expensive problem with, but, perhaps the 2019s, we haven't, and they're still fine. Have we had these Dodge vehicles long enough to know that we're not gonna have that same issue, and that we'll be sitting on 4 of them from 1 year that are just nothing but a problem?
Well, I mean, the only thing we can do is, I can't tell you for sure whether or not. I think their repair history for the Dodges is probably pretty accurate to what we've seen. We've not had any issues with what we have right now. This is our first experience with the Dodges, so could I say we won't have any issues? I can't guarantee that. Like any vehicle, I think you could have 2 of the exact same vehicles, one be great and one be, so we just won't know.
So your plan right now is these 2 early, but are next year's, and then following year, 1 vehicle?
Yeah.
And then how do you see going beyond that? Going back to 2 a year? Or are you gonna try to stick closer to 1 a year that I know we've talked about?
The plan that we've talked about has been generally 1 a year, depending on what Mr. Sigma reports when we do our budgeting time. If he's having extensive problems with a specific vehicle and we need to roll it out, we'll be able to do that at that time, and that'll be a decision we make at that time. But the plan is 1 vehicle per year, and then we'll drive them until their end of lifespan instead of turning them back over to the city for assignment to other departments.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to utilize the My Deal bid price and authorize the purchase of 2 2023 Dodge Durango Pursuit vehicles from LaFontaine Automotive Group of Lansing, Michigan for $85,090 from Vehicles Police Account Number 411-301-973.370, and waive the bid process and authorize the purchase of necessary equipment and installation for the vehicles from Cruisers of Brighton, Michigan for $35,990, from Vehicles of Police Account 411-301-973.370, and approve the associated budget amendment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Chief. New business number 2 is a recommendation to approve a 2-year contract with Oakland County Equalization Division for assessing services for the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2025, and authorize Mayor Patrick Beagle and Clerk Catherine Buck to sign the contract. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Assistant City Manager Benson.
Thank you, Mayor. This is I'll say a relatively routine item. The city contracts with Oakland County to provide our assessing and equalization services. a short description of, a couple bullet points of what they do for us. Quite frankly, I don't think that does justice to the amount of work that they provide for us, in appraising all of the new and real and personal property in the city, as well as helping us with our board of review, all of our Michigan tax tribunal appeals, and all of the various things that go into assessing and taxing real property and personal property. So this proposed extension is a 2-year provided by the county. Our attorneys were involved in kind of the crafting and negotiating process of this proposed agreement, so they have reviewed and have kind of blessed it. Oakland County is looking for 4% increases over each of the next 2 years, and they bill us for their services on a per parcel basis. So the actual expenses can kind of vary depending on the number of splits or combinations we may have, as well as the number of new businesses that we have that may have personal property that is taxed as well. As a whole, we've had high quality experiences working with Oakland County. Wixom, along with, I'd say, the majority of Oakland County communities kind of similar to us, work with Oakland County, and have had success with that relationship. Therefore, we are recommending approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions? All right, very good. Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve a 2-year contract with the Oakland County Equalization Division for assessing services for the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2025, and authorize Mayor Patrick Beagle and Clerk Catherine Buck to sign the contract. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, motion carries. New business number 3. There's a recommendation to accept a proposal for installation of water distribution improvements to the supervisory control and data acquisition system of the Wixom wastewater treatment plant from Motor City Electric Technologies of Detroit, Michigan, for a cost not to exceed $98,799 from Capital Reserve Account number 591-537-971.410. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Very good. Mr. Sigma?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And what you have before you is a proposal from, or for the SCADA system that we have currently at the wastewater treatment plant. And what Motor City has provided for us there is an electronic version of analyzing and tracking all of the different parts in the system. So it records flows and times and mechanical failures as they come up, and it's also equipped with warning our operators of problems. Since the upgrades at the wastewater plant have been working very well, we would like to expand this project to the water systems so that we can have a better control over our water distribution as well. That would include monitoring and the use and tracking of not only the booster station, but the levels in the water tower and controlling the levels in the water tower moving forward. As you know, we get our water from GLWA, and that has been in place for over 20 years now, and some of those control parts are becoming antiquated, and we would like to bring that all into one system so that our operators know how to use it, and it's a better system for us moving forward. With that, I'll be open to questions on the system itself and what we're proposing.
Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mayor Beagle. Hello, Mr. Sickman.
Hi.
Just clean this up for me again. I'm always cleaning things up here. So we currently have a SCADA system
We do.
for wastewater treatment.
Yep.
And there is some system in place for the water distribution.
Correct.
You just want it, but it's not SCADA.
But it is a SCADA system. It's not the same SCADA system, so it's a different platform.
Okay.
Just like you would utilize Microsoft for MS Word and Excel spreadsheets, if you will. It's
Sure.
a different package.
Oh, yeah,
So
no, I get that. No,
interlink them was helpful.
What I was confused by, slightly anyway, is that we're upgrading one system, and it sounded like we were adding a system, but we're actually upgrading
We
both
will-
systems.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And we're in the process.
I was
we're almost
curious, what
finished
was
with
our
the wastewater.
system, what's our system for water distribution now, but it is SCADA, it's just, you're gonna upgrade both the
Right.
wastewater and the water distribution. Okay,
Yep.
that's all I need, thank
Yep,
you.
thank you.
Councilmember Behrman.
This is replacing the old lights on the wall that kind of look like a nuclear power plant?
This replaced those, yes, and it's a screen similar to this one here, and.
Doesn't take up the entire
It
hall?
doesn't take up the entire thing, yeah, they had to do a little bit of drywall work on that process. But we still have it, just, kind of a historic thing for a while yet, but yes. It has been replaced.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you. Ms. Sigma, in terms of the data acquisition system, right now, I think we fill the water tower when the utility costs are at its lowest point, right? Do we do that manually right now, and will this help in automating that process?
Yes, so one of the things during our last contract with GLWA, they had asked us to maintain a certain flow volume continuously. And we've been doing that manually, and we're hoping that this would change that. We also have to monitor it very strictly in the summertime because of the electronics that are there. We're not quite as comfortable with how that all works, so they do have to take quite a bit of manpower to monitor that, especially during the summer months.
And then with the cellular modem activity as well, you'll be able to monitor that remotely.
Right, remote.
Keep in contact with FDOT.
Yep, and Ruben can watch that from home if he so desires.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no more questions, I've got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to accept the proposal for installation of water distribution improvements to the supervisory control and data acquisition system at the Wixom wastewater treatment plant from Motor City Electric Technologies of Detroit, Michigan, for a cost not to exceed $98,799 from capital reserve account number 591-537-971.410. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Tim. New business number 4 is a recommendation to accept Hubble Roth and Clark's proposal for construction engineering services for Gunner Metalla pickleball courts and Gibson House parking lot and safety path paving for a total not to exceed $39,210. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Support.
Very good. Ms. McGee.
Good evening. Before you tonight is a proposal from HRC for the construction engineering for the pickleball courts at Gunner Metalla, as well as the Gibson House parking lot and safety path paving projects, not to exceed $39,210. So the pavement of the existing tennis courts and roller hockey will be removed and replaced, and they will install existing aggregate base at Gunner Metalla. The courts will then be striped and new nets put in. The fencing will be, the existing fencing we will take off and will be reused. And at the end of the Gunner Metalla, we'll have 8 new pickleball courts. At the Gibson property, 3 inches of existing gravel of the parking lot in the rear of the Gibson House will be removed and new asphalt pavement will be installed up to the existing concrete curbs. The existing gravel path between the Gibson House and parking lot will have a new pavement surface and installed in the existing aggregate base, which will complete our improvements to the Gibson Park. Any questions, I'm more than happy to answer, and Mr. Darga is also here from HRC.
Very good. How much does it cost per pickleball court?
I have to do the math on that. Like, I don't know if you have that right here. We bid it in a lump sum because of the whole project.
Okay. So I'm just it just seems like with the $270,000 that's there, with taking out approximately $40,000, doesn't leave a whole lot of room. And I've heard that the pickleball courts are like about $35,000 each. So if you put 8 in there, that's not a whole lot extra.
But we have to actually remove the asphalt and put new asphalt in because we can't put them on top.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, is there enough money to do everything? That was my concern. Okay. Councilmember Behrman.
Thank you. So this would be removing that would only be pickleball courts we have in the city now, correct?
No, we have 4 at Gilbert Willis, which we did 3 years ago. We converted.
For pickleball.
Correct.
But do we have any tennis left anywhere?
We do have 1 tennis court left at Gilbert Willis, and right now, as well as basketball courts out there.
So you took one of the tennis courts there to make.
A roller hockey rink. We removed a roller hockey rink. We converted it. We could use the existing surface that we already had out there. So basically, that was a lot less money because we basically had to fix the cracks that were in the existing and then recoat it.
So for clarity, when this is all said and done, how many tennis courts will we have left in the city?
1.
And how many basketball/roller hockey?
Basketball, we will have 1 and a half, and pickleball, roller hockey, none.
Okay.
Because they weren't being used at all. And pickleball, we will have, well,
Are we remotely concerned that possibly we're overbuilding pickleball? Like, I mean, it seems popular today, but is it going to continue with?
it's very popular today. Our courts are packed all the time with the 4 that we already have up there. There's a demand all around for pickleball. The tennis courts, existingly, people aren't really playing tennis anymore because it requires more athletic ability. You're going to further distance. With pickleball, more people can play because the courts are smaller, so you can play without being as physically top-notch, so to speak.
Okay. I guess that was my concern, that possibly we're overdoing it, but
No,
you would know better than I do, so.
not at all.
Okay.
There's a really high demand for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, they just put, I don't know how many over at Commerce and,
Commerce and Commerce.
yeah, Commerce. And they're forever in use from sun up to sundown, so, yeah. Yeah.
It's totally used, it's an inexpensive sport, a lot
Yep.
of people can do it, so it's very popular.
Councilmember Gaccio?
Thank you. Few different questions on different parts of this. With the pickleball project, have we considered any sort of like noise barrier screening? I know I was at Hickory Hill on the golf course coaching a few weeks ago, and you could hear from even that distance the balls getting hit on the pickleball court. Since they're using wiffle ball and hard mallets, it's pretty loud.
It hasn't been a concern, and at Gunner Metallo, we haven't had really any issues or complaints about sound at Gunner Metallo with the facilities we have there, nor at Gilbert Willis.
Okay. Just something I think to think about, because it can get noisy, especially if we're gonna have 8 courts going at once. I drive by the Richardson Center to go to the office every day, and if you have the windows down, it's a lot of racket going on.
No pun intended?
No. They use more paddles. It's like adult-sized ping pong. The Gibson Park situation, this is the parking lot to the south of the property?
Correct.
Okay. How often is that in use?
It's used for events. People park there during lunch. I don't know how many of you visit Gibson Park, but it's interesting because that parking lot is used by those local businesses a lot during the lunch and afternoon hours. It is part of the Gibson master plan to complete that, and we started that project actually with CDGB money several years ago to create a base, and this would be the completion of the project.
And then the safety path is more of that driveway, right?
It's just that round circle.
Yeah. I think I've not been a fan for a while of pouring money into Gibson House. Looking at the cost of this being what it is, why can't we wait until we build up some more community development block grant reserves to do that? I know we have other projects we're trying to take care of right now, but it doesn't sound like this is an immediate thing that needs to be done. It's just something we would like to do because we said we would do it at one point.
It is in our capital plan. It was presented in our budget this fiscal year. The whole plan of that project, and with the use of the Michigan Airline Trail, I don't know how many use that, but that park is getting used more and more. People are using that parking lot actually to park there and get on the trail there because it's very convenient. So there's several uses for it. I think you're going to notice more and more of that coming with the use of the Michigan Trail now, actually. CDGB money to address that fact. We're tied up with that money for the next year for the playground project. And then it would have to be reevaluated if that's approved to do that for that. It could possibly considered, but the reason we wrap these projects together more importantly, and Mr. Darga could speak to that, is they're both small projects. And to get a contractor to come in and do those projects, you need a bigger project. And that's part of the reason we bundle these together, to get a contractor that can do both projects together. Otherwise, if we would just do the conversion of the pickleball, that price would be much, much higher because it's a small project. So there was rationale behind that.
When did we repave the Gunnar Metalla courts last? Wasn't it within like the last 3 or 4 years?
We fixed the cracks. It was in 2021, and then the courts did continue. Well, we found some cracks in 2022. So when we went back to evaluate them, it's basically the base of that. Those courts had to be pulled out and redone. So in order to use it, we could. Was it Gilbert Willis then that we repaved recently? We did both, but Gilbert Willis didn't suffice as many cracks. The Gunnar Metalla became unrepairable. Gilbert Willis is still a project. If we need to repave it, the cracks can be repaired there, but not at Gunnar.
Crack. We've done crack sealing. Okay.
Crack repair.
Yeah. All right. Just on the Gibson side of this, I'm not in favor. It's not an immediate thing. I feel like this is money that we should grant money, CDBG money, not city tax money to go for something that isn't really adding to the benefit of very many residents. Aside from people that park there for lunch or people that use the trail, it's a lot of money to be spending for no significant return for residents. So, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mayor. Comment on that. I had a very large event at the Gibson House, used the farmland, and it would have been nice to have had that paved area for leveling the trailer-based porta potties we brought in for the event. So that'll be a welcome addition to have that nice paved and level. I also have noticed a lot of people using it as a trailhead, and the community gardens, people park there as well to go over to their plot. So I think it's part of the master plan. We should go ahead and get it done. Regarding the pickleball court, as a player myself, I noticed over at the Gilbert Willis that a lot of feedback was given to me by players when I go over there about dividers. Will the engineering include something in the pavement to be able to erect dividers between the courts?
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, just to address your Gilbert Willis issue, I am having a fence contractor put a permanent one in at Gilbert Willis versus the retractable ones. And that should be done in the next 3 weeks.
Super.
That's not part of this contract.
Right.
We are taking care of that issue.
Very good. All right. That was it. Thank you.
Councilmember Smiley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, that actually answered one of my questions, but I had another one. It's tiny, but did you say that this completes all the things we wanted to do to Gibson House when we?
At the present time, with our
Well,
current
sure.
plan, yes. Yes, we had planned for that park to complete the paving. Actually, because we do have more and more events, as Mr. Resnick mentioned, there are more people that are at the park realizing it's there. It's being focused. People are scheduling events. In fact, I think this summer we had 3 or 4 weddings there, and then that event. So
Yeah,
that
well,
parking will just dress up the park.
Yeah, I thought it needed that work, for a little while now, so I have no problem with it. I just wanted to catch, you had mentioned it kind of in passing that, hey, this completes everything we've been doing over there, and that's good to hear. So, top it off, and we're done till something goes,
Right.
which doesn't always, things get old, nothing, yeah, that's all I'm saying. That's all, thank you.
Councilmember Behrman.
Sorry for coming back, but I did walk through the Gibson area to take a look at it, and I saw the concrete, so I guess it makes sense to finish it. But what's the plan with the fire truck?
That's a good question.
Because I mean, I get it's historical for the city, but I mean, it's starting to look pretty bad.
I'm in agreement with you. DPW and I'll have to get together. It doesn't run right now, so it'll have to be towed off the property. The reason it was even there is, I want to say 6 years ago when we had Founder's Day, it added to the event. It no longer adds to the park, and I agree with you. So we'll have to find a way to remove it from the park.
If that's what we want to do, I just wasn't sure.
Well, I
Put
did
it back in the
have,
fire station.
we were hoping maybe somebody
Not
wanted
illegal.
to store it, but no luck on that. But we'll take care of that.
I was just curious.
All right, any further questions? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to accept Hubbell Roth and Clark's proposal for construction engineering services for Gunnamattella pickleball courts and Gibson House parking lot and safety path paving for a total not to exceed $39,210. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Mayor Beagle,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Behrman,
Yes.
Councilmember Gotchall. 4 yes, 1 no.
Very good. Thank you. We'll move on to new business number 5, and that's a recommendation to accept the low qualified bid from Asphalt Specialist LLC of Pontiac, Michigan for the Gibson parking lot and Gunnamattella court conversion for an amount not to exceed $369,832 with $172,855 from Parks and Rec Capital Plan, Gibson Park account number 411-751-979.540 and $196,977 from Parks and Rec Capital Plan, Gunnamattella Park account number 411-751-974.543. Do I have a motion? Very good. Ms. McGee?
As we've just discussed in the previous report, this is pretty much a duplicate explanation of the project. We did bid it out, and the bids came in at $369,832, and we are looking for authorization to move forward with that.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, I've got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to accept the low qualified bid from Asphalt Specialist LLC of Pontiac, Michigan for the Gibson parking lot and Gunnamattella court conversion for an amount not to exceed $369,832 with $172,855 from Parks and Recreation Capital Plan, Gibson Park, account number 411-751-979.540 and $196,977 from Parks and Recreation Capital Plan, Gunnamattella Park, account number 411-751-974.543. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Mayor Beagle,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Resnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Behrman,
Yes.
Councilmember Gotchall, Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
4 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. And with that, that concludes the new business portion of tonight's meeting. We'll move on to the call to the public, the second call to the public. The rules are the same as the first call to the public, with the exception if you can speak whatever's on your mind. If we have anybody for the second call to the public, please step up.
Russ Meredith, 378 Fletcher. I just wanted to, on behalf of myself, thank DPW, the police and fire department for the really quick action they took in taking care of the sinkhole out there and the way they handled it. Our neighborhood sort of became the new cut-through, so their speed in fixing it really was appreciated by us because we were going to start asking Phil for lights as opposed to just stop signs. But they did a great job, and I really appreciate the speed with which they handled it.
Thank you. Anybody else for the second call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close the second call to the public, move on to city manager's comments. City Manager Brown.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple of things from the city manager's office. Kudos to Cheryl Lucas, who develops and distributes the weekly email e-notifications that are sent out. It was cited in a public notice weekly article as being a great example of public communication, so I said, way to go, Cheryl. Congratulations also to Drew, our Assistant City Manager and Director of Economic Development, for completing the MCAT training on a variety of topics recently. As I mentioned in here, and as we voted on earlier with the assessing contract, while Oakland County does the majority of the work, city staff and the city manager's office does do processing of a variety of pieces of paper that go through and then on to the assessors at Oakland County. And with this kind of education and ongoing continuing education, we're staying on top of the right and wrong way to do that so we can better serve the people that need those services. So congratulations to Drew on that. Then I have one add-on. State Representative Ann Bolin is having a coffee hour on September 18th at the Council Room B, just at the back of this room, from 9 to 10 a.m. on September 18th. So if anybody's interested in talking with the state representative about any subject, perhaps DTE, that might be a good opportunity to have a chance to discuss that with the state representative. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Assistant City Manager Benson.
I do just a couple quick things. One, I wanted to highlight, we do have a variety of community events coming up later this month, Barking in the Park on September 17th. We've also got the Downtown Block Party on the 20th. And then there are obviously a number of things going on in October, but kind of exciting things as we wind down summer. Then the only other thing, I'll make a bit of a joke. It was a brisk 8 hours.
What's the date of this block party?
September 20th.
23rd.
23rd.
I lied. Thank you, Russ.
You
Keeping
aired.
me honest.
You aired, you didn't lie.
But that was all I wanted to mention. It's just that.
You said you had one more thing?
Oh, I was just going to say it was a brisk 8 hours at Oakland County with our assessing firms. I think that's why he's giving me credit for that.
Okay.
Good times.
Very good. Council comments. Councilmember Smiley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well done, Drew and Cheryl, on your accomplishments there. That's great. I really just want to echo what Mr. Merritt has said about the sinkhole and how great the city took care of it, and thanks to Oakland County for their part in it as well. My condolences to Vance McCormick on the passing of his lovely wife Jan, and then my condolences to John O'Brien of Parks and Rec on the very recent passing of his father. That's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Gaccio.
Thank you. I also wanted to share my thoughts with, or condolences with Vance on his loss, and then John O'Brien, the O'Brien family, and their loved ones on their recent loss.
Councilmember Behrman.
Thank you. I will echo the same condolences. And then I do have one question for probably Assistant City Manager Drew with regards to Theodore and Madison, where there's 5 houses built, but they're just sort of sitting there. Like, the 5 houses have been built for, my understanding is 2 to 3 years. Is there anything the city can do to convince them to move forward with maybe marketing and selling those homes?
Technically speaking, no. The builder has, they built them and they own them. There's nothing we can inherently require them to sell them or to occupy them, as long as they're maintaining them, cutting the grass, taking care of, so that they're not in disrepair or in violation of any of our ordinances. As a whole, you'll notice there's a variety of lots in that subdivision that haven't been built at all and aren't moving. That is a conversation we've been having with the developer and trying to understand what it is they're doing and how we could potentially help them move faster or move off them. To be honest with you, I don't know the circumstances, but I would have to imagine there's some underlying story that we don't know about.
There's nothing in our ordinance about a home being vacant or whatnot?
Not to my
Taking
knowledge.
it for inspection or anything like that?
I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. It's something I can certainly look into.
Just seems bizarre that we're going on, year 2 and 3 of 5 vacant homes, 5 brand new vacant homes. It just anything we could do to get people living in them would be helpful.
I agree.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mayor. Would also like to extend my condolences to the McCormick family and the John J. O'Brien family. 93 years old, that's a good age. Lived a long life. Also read with amusement all the press on the enhanced transit in Oakland County and the smart extensions for Route 305 down Grand River. I find it funny that the whole idea of expanding this service and taking all these taxpayer dollars was to serve residents, and I think, what is it, maybe 2% of our population lives in the Helfer and Leisure Co-op area. I hope that Mr. Brown has heard as he goes to these meetings, and that they extended up Beck Road to Pontiac Trail, where it would actually serve the residents of the city of Wixom.
And I too would like to extend my condolences to the McCormick and O'Brien families on their losses, and kudos to Cheryl and kudos to Drew for their accomplishments. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.